In a land where cacti outnumber cell towers and the horizon stretches further than a fiber optic cable, it's time for Valley's Bits, Bytes and Banter, the podcast that looks a bit behind the scenes of a broadband provider, takes a big bite out of the tech world, and serves up a healthy dose of banter with people in our community. And now, without further ado, here's your host, Bob Dahlstrom.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful week. I can't even say that. A wonderful week. I'm Bob Dahlstrom, just like the intro says, along with my partner in crime and co-host, Ralph Score.
Hey, how you doing, Bob?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Other than the picture I took at the top golf there. You know?
Oh, yeah, you took that picture out. It was like something with no context, and Ralph just sent it company-wide. Everybody's like, why is Pearl the object of this picture?
You know, and Pearl made lemonade out of a lemon.
Yes, she did. She rolled with it. Bless her heart.
That's
Appreciate her doing that.
Yeah.
In case you guys didn't figure, this is Bits, Bytes, and Banter, our podcast that we do on a regular basis. And Ralph and I really enjoy doing it because not just a chance to talk with each other, but we talk a lot about tech news.
Yeah.
But our favorite thing to do is interview and to have discussions with interesting people in our communities.
Yeah.
And we have a great guest again here today. As normal. We're going to get to our guest in just a few minutes. But Ralph, I know you've got some information.
Well, the FCC just came out with this, and it's actually a broadband speed guide, but it's a little misleading because it talks about, you know, when you're using one or two things, you know, and it basically says on here, you know, here's the optimal speed you need for doing this if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 devices hooked up. But how many households have only 3 or 4 devices hooked up? You know?
When that first, you know, was prevalent, streaming all that, then. But nowadays, I mean, it's you'd be hard pressed to find a house with only a few devices.
And I think the one that did stand out that is realistic to me is streaming video on Ultra on 4K, right? Because a lot of people don't realize how much bandwidth it takes to push a big video signal down the line, you know. So, and it's if you're going to stream 4K, especially live, it's a 25 meg signal constant, right? So
for the best experience,
you know. And if you're way down, you may not even be able to get it. You get a lot of buffering in that. So, and just remember this, that 8K is right around the corner, and that's like 4Ks put together, and that's going to take 100 meg to push an 8K signal at people.
Just imagine that now.
That's a lot.
There was a time where we had dial-up, and everybody was like, why would I need longer than 2.5 hours to see a picture and go wait for it to come back? That's all I need.
I had a fax modem at one point in time, you know, and it was like, oh boy, watch this picture download, down. I'm going to go to lunch. Okay.
I'm going to lunch when I come back.
Yeah.
You will be amazed.
So it was just interesting. If you go to the FCC site, they have it up there. It gives you kind of a general idea of what kind of bandwidth you might need for doing single specific things on the internet at any one point in time. It's
always good to have a reference because that is one of the questions people still ask a lot. I can look over at our guest for confirmation. Is like, how much bandwidth do I actually need? And then people are like, well, I only have a couple devices. And then you start asking questions, and they're like, oh, my smartphones, my tablets, my gaming consoles, my smart TV. And you start realizing you're in the double digits before you know it, that you need more bandwidth than you think you need.
Well, and they don't realize, too, that, you know, if you're running your phone and you have a bunch of apps and they're working in the background, even if you're not using an app that's on there and it's constantly updating, it's pulling data. You know, so and if you've got 20 apps going at the same time, guess what? You're not just pulling your average 4 megs with a phone. You know, you're pulling a lot of stuff.
That is true. We have the perfect guest on later to throw some of this back at him.
That's right.
To talk about that, about network usage and questions he gets on that.
Yep. So anyway, but I have a couple of I have some did you knows here, and these normally we call these spurious facts of the day, and you might call these spurious, but these are did you knows. Did you know that tomato ketchup was once sold as medicine?
My daughter would think it should still be medicine.
I thought it was one of the main food groups myself, but you know. So tomato ketchup was in the 1830s sold as medicine, following an extraordinary claims the condiment could cure everything from diarrhea, indigestion, and even jaundice. Okay?
Wow.
Now here's a good one. I love this one. Napoleon was once attacked by rabbits.
That's great.
Were they? I feel a Monty Python episode coming up.
Exactly. My brain went there.
Actually, they were going to have a rabbit hunt, and so they captured thousands of rabbits that they collected, and they were going to release from the cages. And then instead of running and turning and fright, the bunnies reportedly ran up the emperor's legs and even climbed in his jacket, leading the military genius to a hastily beat a retreat. Okay,
He didn't use a holy hand grenade?
Claimed him as Rabbit Land or whatever. Yeah.
And this is one other. Oxford University is older than the Aztec Empire. Most people don't realize that. Founded in 1096, Oxford University is 200 years older than the Aztec civilization, 300 years older than Machu Picchu, and 150 years older than Easter Island's gnomic stoneheads.
When you put it in that perspective, I had no idea.
No.
That it was that old comparatively.
I didn't know it was started that long ago.
Me neither.
You know? So
I knew it had been well established a long time ago,
Yeah.
but not that long ago.
we always think of older universities like Harvard, you know, because it was the first established university in America, but Oxford being in England, you know, is pretty
Right.
And then finally, did you know that a man has actually survived 2 nuclear bomb blasts?
One singular man.
Yeah. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima when the first atom bomb was dropped in an attempt to bring about the end of World War II. And unfortunately, he returned home to Nagasaki only hours before the second atom bomb was dropped. Now,
That's a terrible timing.
he miraculously survived both blasts and lived to be the age of 93 years old.
That's incredible.
And that's your spurious
That's
or
amazing.
non-spurious facts
Wow.
of the day.
Well, I have one trivia question for you guys. And everybody's familiar with Yahoo, the website. You go to Yahoo and search it and stuff. And
Yahoo!
Used to.
Yeah.
now it's Google, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm showing my age, right? All right,
It's
dude.
used to.
But did you know Yahoo is an acronym? And do you know what it stands for?
Oh.
Did you know that?
No, I knew that Cowboys said it a lot. But
Yeah, and they just put it together, and that just that's
Yeah.
how the marketing part came into play, was with the
Wow.
yodeling. But Yahoo actually stands for yet another hierarchical officious oracle.
that's awesome. I always wanted to know that.
Didn't you always wanted to know
I'm
that,
putting that one
everybody?
in my back pocket along with the woolly rhino.
That's right. Do you want? I'm gonna throw one quick one at you, real quick. Did you know? Can you tell me who CarMax was founded by?
Elon Musk. No,
That's a good
no,
guess.
he
but
did
no.
PayPal. He was PayPal.
It was founded by Circuit City.
Really?
They started it when they were still in business because they could see a business model there that they could make money at it, and now it is the second largest, or is the largest used car retailer in the United States.
Now, are they the guys, they had the kiosk, the thing where they were bringing the cars down from the top,
Right.
something like that.
Yep.
And I wonder how that worked out.
They still have them.
They still have
Yeah, you still see them out there.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's amazing. Anyway, thought I'd throw that at you. And now
did
that
not
everybody's
know that.
minds are blown
Yeah.
by those two facts and Ralph's spurious facts, we have to
That's
take
right.
a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to introduce our special guest. We're going to have a great time, guys. Be right back.
Hey, are you playing Fortnite? Yeah. Let's go, man. I'm gonna beat you so bad. You know I could go pro if I wanted to. You do not stand a chance. Besides, we always just play against each other.
Yeah, that's true.
We need to find more people to play with.
Hey, Valley Telecom has the Fiber Gaming Network, an online community where we can compete in tournaments and win real prizes, or just meet new gamers and participate in casual game nights.
Whoa, that's so cool. But how much does it cost?
It's actually free. Valley Telecom is providing this to their community at no charge. We just go to vtc.net/gaming and sign up.
Wow, that's so awesome. Now I can show everyone I'm the best.
Get in the game with a fiber gaming network powered by Valley Telecom. Go to vtc.net/gaming to sign up today.
Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of Bits, Bytes, and Banter, our podcast. I'm Bob Dahlstrom, along with my co-host, Ralph Score, and you can download episodes wherever you get your podcasts, including podbean.com or on the app Podbean. Search Valley's Bits with an apostrophe S. You can find us on Apple, iHeart, Spotify, or like I said, pretty much wherever else you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. You can go to our YouTube channel and see it there, and on our website at vtc.net/blog.
Yep.
Did I miss anything?
Nope.
And guys, if you ever have any questions or topics you want us to talk about or anything like that, you can always email us at podcast@teamvtg.net. But now it's time to introduce our very special guest. I got to follow my microphone because it wants to swing on me a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest studied computer engineering at Arizona State University, got a bachelor's of science in network engineering with Southern Nazarene University, and a master's of business administration with Grand Canyon University. Is also very involved in the community here in Wilcox, has been an assistant coach for the Wilcox High School football and basketball, board president for Northern Cochise Nursing Home Association, is a member of the Wilcox Against Substance Abuse Board, and is a council member for the city of Wilcox, and among other things. And we'll get into all his hobbies in a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Bowlby.
Thank you, Bob.
How you doing? How you doing today, Tim?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. You know, I appreciate
That's a
you.
long intro.
You like that? Was it too long?
I guess I gotta quit being so busy.
At least it's not as long as your title used to be. Right?
Yeah.
That is true. He's our network manager here at Valley Telecom Group. And so you didn't have to travel far, at least, to come be a part of the podcast.
Oh man,
we
it was
appreciate
awesome.
you
Just
coming
came
downstairs.
Yeah, get to hang out.
Get to hang out with us on here in the production studio. We appreciate it very much. And I could have cut that intro down, or I could have even added more stuff to it, Tim.
I forget. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I did that. I
Not
did
to
that.
mention Darth Vader at some events.
Yeah, that's true.
Showed
Holy
up a couple
shnikes,
times.
man.
Yeah.
So you're our network manager, and you've been how long have you been with Valley now? It's been
Just over 10 years now.
I was going to say, it's been 10 years. Yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
On the 10 years. And we're talking about this off air, and we've brought it up a lot. We talk about fiber. And really, when you talk about internet and connectivity and people in their homes and their businesses and what have you, right now, fiber is the technology that is the best technology, the cutting edge, state of the art technology, I guess you would call it.
I would say it's not. I would say wireless and satellite stuff are getting like cutting edge. They're at the edge. They're always trying to develop to be better. But when you're looking at long term solutions, fiber's your best long term solution. Just because you can, once you have it in the ground, it can last a decade, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, even probably a century before all you're doing is just changing out optics. You can use that physical plant the whole time. Wireless, satellite, you got to kick up something new every now and then to use the new technology. So I would say coming up with the cutting edge, I think those are, they have to be cutting edge to get to the next best thing. But fiber, it's not to say they're not expanding. We went from 1 gig, now we're 10 gig, moving to 20 gig already, things like that are out there. But fiber it's just simple glass in the ground, and once you have it there's not much you have to do.
Yeah, I think that's what we talk about, future proof. That's what we're talking about on the ground. Because you go back and look at copper cable, for example, there was Cat 3, there still is Cat 3, Cat 5, Cat 6, and you'd have to replace that.
There's Cat 8 now.
And you have to constantly replace
but there is
it.
Cat 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with the fiber, you don't. Like you said, it's just maybe what it connects to on the end.
You're just changing the end equipment, which, it's not cheap, but it's cheaper than replacing the fiber every couple of years.
Yeah, you talk about the miles and miles of fiber that we have in the ground, and we're still adding more all the time.
All the time.
Because we are smack in the middle of an expansion. I say expansion. Upgrade of our network and some expansion as well.
Yep.
And I know that we've got projects going on right now. We're talking about Columbus. We're upgrading that community to fiber. And we're looking at starting soon on Patagonia, adding fiber. That's a brand new community
That's
for
a new
us.
build. Yep.
So why fiber? Why are we putting fiber everywhere? I know we talked about it being future-proof, but there's some other benefits to that as well.
With wireless and when you're talking wireless and satellite, there's limitations, latency limitations, things like that, weather limitations, rain. We've seen issues when we're shooting a wireless shot over crops when the moisture comes up and causes refraction, and when you break it down, it's really a physical object is flying through the air and it's hitting these other physical objects of water droplets, and so it causes problems. Fiber, you have it in the ground. You're not affected by weather. Yeah, you can get affected by cut or someone drilling into the ground and things like that, but most of the time when you look at, you're not having to worry about weather and dust and things like that. So it's out of the elements. Usually it's a pretty good job at being protected in conduit systems and things like that. So not only long term, but it's not as affected by natural causes.
You also have capacity issues too, right? I know, like sometimes on satellites they get filled up, or I know in wireless you get a radio that's only got so many connections you can make on it.
Yeah, I would say fiber. Everything has a point where you could max it out. So when we do fiber, we use a technology called GPON, and all it is I'm using one fiber to feed what we call a splitter, and that breaks out that fiber into 32 different ports. And those ports feed 32 different customers. So we don't have to use 32 different fibers to feed each customer. We use one out to what we call a splitter box out in the field near the customers. And then we go 32 ways, passive optical network. That's what PON means. So we're able to reduce costs for power needs and things like that. We just have the splitter, it splits it out, and then each person individually gets their own connection. And then you're kind of dependent on the technology and the light that what it can provide. So as that technology expands, back to it's their cutting edge in that respects. But as that expands, then you can up your level of bandwidth a lot easier than you can with wireless. Wireless, I can't just go, oh, let me change this out, this one little piece of equipment, and now you have potential 1 gig.
Right. Yeah. It is a lot more involved than that.
And that light source is a laser pulse, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because that's one of the things you got to realize is essentially, like we said, fiber is glass, and light travels down it, and that's what
Speed of light.
the data
That's
travels on.
how fast it goes.
That's right.
It's like the Autobahn of internet.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, and the biggest enemy to it, as you said, is not necessarily future technology. It's people digging into the ground
us.
where they shouldn't be,
Yeah, it's us.
Yes, which we've experienced a few times.
Human intervention is usually the problem.
It's like great white sharks. The most dangerous animal in the sea is man.
That's right. Yeah, we're our own biggest enemies, right? Yes, human intervention is what's going to cause that. So we are looking at we're doing some major projects right now. I don't know if you're able to talk about anything coming up in the near future that you know of. I know like I said, our goal by the time we're done with our entire long-term range plan is virtually almost our entire area will be fiber.
Yeah, I think it's like over 90% is fiber.
But for those people who might be listening, maybe in the next 6 months to a year.
So for on my end of things, what we're really working on is expanding our transport, the backbone. And so you have, as we convert to fiber, you have more and more people that are using more bandwidth. They have it available to them now. On DSL and wireless, they didn't have as much, so they were limited. But now with fiber, they're signing up for the 500 meg, the 1 gig plans and things like that, doing more. It's just like as you make more, you end up spending more.
Sure.
And so it's the same concept there. So as the bandwidth needs go up, we have to be able to support that bandwidth on the back end and be able to transport that. So what we've been working on started last year, we've been working on this year, and next year we're going to be converting over to it is a 100 gig backbone system between all our central office locations. So all our exchanges will be interconnected at 100 gig levels. And then there's multiple layers within that we can do. Here's a 100 gig lane. Here's a 100 gig lane. And so that's what we're in the middle of working on right now and converting to next year to support all these fiber expansions.
Right. Yeah, there's so much happening in the back end. That has to happen first in order to be able to provide that true fiber optic network experience to the home.
Yeah, because, you could have the fiber at your house, but if there's a bunch of customers in your area and you don't have enough bandwidth capability coming to your area, you're going to get bottlenecked.
Right.
So you're not going to get that full experience, what you're looking for. And so that's what we're working on is that transport that feeds all of you in a certain area. You have the bandwidth needs.
Right. And I don't want to point fingers at any certain competitors, but I know there are customers that we've had conversations with at events that'll say, well, Company X says they're fiber fueled, but I can't get those speeds, or I can't, if I'm on at a certain time of night, it slows down because everybody's on. Those are the ones that are truly not fiber to the home.
You get that shared pie effect. You know, which is, and I try to explain that to people. It's kind of like if you've got a bottle of oxygen and you have too many people trying to breathe off it at the same time, and nobody gets enough oxygen.
Yep.
That's a very good analogy. I like that.
I'm going to keep that in my spurious facts.
You're going to hang on to that in your back pocket. So, Tim, we're talking about the fiber, which is great, but you said it's going to be somewhere over 90% of our network
something like
will
that,
be fiber. For those that were not able to convert to fiber, at least not in the near future, for whatever reasons, are there things we can do for those customers?
There are things that we're looking at. If they're still on copper, there's ways that we're trying to shorten up the connections to them to get them higher speeds. And really, what the prohibitive reason is just cost. Cost of fiber is not cheap to put into the ground.
No, it's not.
And some of these links are really long. But with the copper, if we can get a little closer to them, get equipment closer, we can provide higher speeds on copper. And then eventually there's other options we're looking at, trying to figure out how can we get these customers. Copper's not the end all be all, definitely.
Right.
And fiber is because of the long-term factor.
Yeah.
But it's cost prohibitive in some cases. So there's other technologies we're looking at, trying to, whether it's wireless, if we can get a wireless shot that's closer, that's gonna serve them better than copper. We're looking at that. There's a lot of planning that goes into that kind of thing.
We have mandates we have to reach too, as far as minimums, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for that the government has mandated, because I'm recognizing the importance and the need now for high speeds.
And that's where the government's coming in, and they're looking at, all right, you have these customers that are out so far, we're requiring you to be able to provide them this basic service, and let's just throw out like 25 and 3. And so how do we get that? So that's where their funding comes to us to help us build out that.
Right. And we're talking about, when you say 25.3, 25 up to 25 meg download.
Yes, sir.
And that's what it means. You go get something and you want to see something, you're downloading it to your device. Mm-hmm. If you're gaming or if you're doing a webcasting, you're uploading to the internet. That's where the upload speeds come into effect. So that's the 3 meg of upload that they're talking about. So, I mean, obviously, we are not sitting on our laurels. I know you guys have been extremely busy. Every department has been so busy.
Yeah.
But I mean, network, you guys are what makes things run, and you guys have to have a plan. And you're out there working on that and making it go as much as you can. So for those people out there right now, we talked about this. I was going to throw this out there again. We talked about this during the break. You probably get asked, and we all always get asked, well, how much internet do I need? How much bandwidth? How much speed do I need? Using the same terminology right now for the same, they're not the same. So what do you say to people if they say, well, I don't know how much I need as far as bandwidth goes? You start asking questions, obviously, of what kind of devices do you have in the home that hook to the internet? And
devices, how do you use it? Are you just a general user, like you just check emails, you jump on? You also have to look at the demographics, the age groups and things like that, factor in that, okay, how are you using the internet? If you're a gamer and you're streaming your gaming, then you're in a different category from someone who is, I just want to get on and watch my Netflix. I have one TV. I want to check my email, and that's about it.
Right.
And maybe play my Wordle. And so,
hey, I do. I have a streak going.
Well, and then then you've got the whole idea of online school. You've also got the people that work from home, which is a big deal.
Yep. Do you have to do Zoom calls where you have to show the video of you and things like that? Yeah. So those are you using? Maybe you're not using our phone service, but you're using some kind of VoIP service. Like, what kind of quality do you need? Things like that. So those are the kind of questions that's just an example of some questions to help figure out what kind of customer you are and then what your needs are. And then based on that, our customer service reps do a good job, and our internet support team, when they're working with customers, try to figure out what's the best plan for you. Are you good at the 100 meg level? It'd be awesome if everyone signed up for 1 gig, but that's not always plausible on their end.
Not always feasible on their end.
And so it's like, all right, let's find the best plan that fits your needs.
Right. Yeah, and we could talk about this for hours. And we'll pick it up a little bit after the break, and I think a little more, Tim, and talk about it. Guys, we're going to be talking with Tim Bowlby right after this break. Stick around.
The endless options for streaming movies, shows, and sports can be overwhelming. Valley Telecom is here to help with Stream Now, your ultimate online reference for all things streaming. Whether you're a binge watcher or just looking for a quick episode to enjoy, we've got you covered. Discover recommendations, compare platforms, and find the best content for your favorite streaming devices. Stream Now makes it simple to get the most out of your streaming experience. Enjoy the journey of discovering your next favorite show, movie, or live event all in one place. The best part is it's free to use. Unlock the door to endless viewing possibilities by going to gostreamnow.com/VTC today.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bits, Bytes, and Banter, our podcast, the Valley Telecom Group podcast. I'm Bob Dahlstrom, along with my co-host, Ralph Score. And we're talking today with special guest, the Valley Telecom Network Manager, Tim Bowlby. And Tim, we've been talking a lot about fiber and providing good service to customers and all the customers that we have looking to, we're in the middle of a multi-year fiber upgrade project and expansion into other communities. But let's talk about rural. I mean, because we are a rural company, we live in a rural area, and I know that there are a lot of people that wonder, well, why can't you just provide this in this area like I did when I lived in Los Angeles, and I move out to Bowie or San Simone or Portal, and it's like I can't seem to get the same service. It's like sometimes, like we talked about, cost can be prohibitive, but rural area provides those kinds of challenges and more.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So it's really, when you're in a city metro area, you have a lot of people around you. So it really goes to the cost of things to get internet out to all these customers. If you have companies that are in the metro that, man, they have like 20,000 customers or more within 2 square miles.
Right.
We're under 10,000 over 9,000 square miles. So it's just population density, customer density that really helps drive that and helps drive those costs down in the metro area.
Right.
And then you get out to the rural area, well, we have bigger builds to do. We have to have power out closer to these. They could have one office that feeds all these customers. We have to have multiple offices to feed all our customers. So it goes back to cost.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, not just how you have to recoup that because you have a lower density than everybody else, but also even purchasing the stuff. I mean, we pay the same cost, if not more, to get it to our rural areas than they do. And it's just,
but that goes, I mean, going back to our history of Valley, that goes back to the cooperative history of like how people band together because they knew it was cost prohibitive to have phone service to just a few people. Right. So they all banded together to help get that density, customer density, and build a co-op that then got that phone service. Then it turned into internet. So the co-op model is based on that to help reduce the cost. Yeah, it's not like going to Phoenix and living and getting like $25 service for 100 meg, but it's better than nothing out here. But it's just cool. It goes to the rural history of how co-ops are formed.
And I love that because, I mean, we do subtle reminders of that. And no matter what we do and how much we grow, we are still a cooperative at our core.
Yep.
And that's our principles that guide our company. Is we live where we work where we live. We're involved in the communities very much as you're involved, Tim. We talked about this, and we'll get into that a little bit. And that's the reason we all band together. We recognize that if we want to bring that same quality of service and that quality of life service, we still have to figure out how we're going to make it affordable for those customers.
And the cool thing is cost continues to drive down.
Right.
Yep. And that's what we're always looking at is how can we do our best with that.
And one of the best things about being part of a cooperative is getting involved. I love that we do that as a company as well. We have 3 different offices. We used to have 4, but we have 3 offices that customers can walk in and pay a bill, which is here in Wilcox and Safford and Clifton. We still have a building in Animas, New Mexico, one of our core cooperative communities. But the fact that we try to get involved in all these other communities and in the schools, right? Schools are the
heart of the towns.
They absolutely are. And you've been involved with schools for quite a while.
I have.
Like we talked about. I mean, you're still assistant coach on the basketball?
Not anymore.
You did it for years.
I did it for 10 years. Did 6 years for football, but that's where I got my start in technology in the IT side. In my career was as the technology director over at Wilcox Schools.
Yeah, you and I used to interface a lot over there when we were doing live football.
Yeah, Ralph, come over. All right, how do I hook this up into your network? Get feed out.
What port am I hooking into?
And obviously getting involved in the communities, trying to hire local. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of skill in our areas, in the rural areas, and we try to draw on that talent and bring them in. When we can to employ them here.
Oh yeah, that's I don't know why that became one of my passions. I honestly didn't expect to come back to Wilcox when I left, and it ended up working out that way, and I haven't regretted it. But with that, I have a passion for trying to find the local talent, because that's my dream and one reason I jumped onto the city council in Wilcox was like, hey, if I want to have a town that we can provide any opportunity for whoever wants to live here, they can do whatever they want. And I think Valley, with the internet and the fiber and things like that, is making that more realistic, especially with remote jobs and things like that nowadays. That's becoming more of a reality. And so that's just been a passion of mine, is finding that young talent and helping them develop. And if they want to live here, awesome, they have a job. And if they don't, well, then they got some great skills and they're going to go make an impact.
I think, too, it's interesting because we do career fairs and all that. And when you think about the type of jobs and the opportunities that a company like us have, it's pretty diverse, you know, and you don't necessarily have to have a degree. You know, you might have to have some specific training as far as certifications and technical end, and once you learn it here, you can take it anywhere.
Oh, yeah. I think degrees are great, but experience and some skill building is a very good base.
Right. You've got to have that to go along with a degree somehow. You got to build that experience and the skill levels and improve them as you go along.
Yep.
And you're just a perfect example of that, Tim, is as you do that, you want to know more, you want to learn a little more, and then you want to turn around and pay it forward.
Yep.
And especially like in rural communities like Wilcox. I mean, like I said, all our areas we serve are rural, and we're proud of that. We're proud of our rural heritage here and serving the communities like we do. And I
like my 5-minute drive from my house to work.
When you complain because the train makes you 1 minute later than you were normally going to be.
I dream of a 5-minute drive.
I'm sorry, Ralph.
Ralph lives a little out of town.
Just a little.
But Tim, we could talk about this for so long. I appreciate having you as a guest. But one of the things we like to do with our guests, what am I trying to say? With guests, is we have a question of the day.
I know, I've been dreading this.
Oh, have you now?
I've listened to all of them, like, trying to prepare.
And we try to we change them too. So, Tim, like I said, we have a question of the day. You don't know what it's going to be, as you know, but you have some control here. So we have 8 questions that one of those we're going to ask you. You just get to choose which number question you want.
This has been my decision all day. I've been trying to think. What am I going to pick? Let's go with 2.
Number 2. Tim, if you could live on a movie-themed set, what would it be?
Oh, boy. Movie-themed set. Oh,
yeah, like a favorite movie or even when you were a kid or now.
I mean, all right, I'm going to go a little nerd on you, but
let's hear it.
I think Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
Like something in that realm. That would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty fascinating to do that.
I'd love to roam around and just see the sights.
and see the sights. I like that.
With Hobbit feet.
Like, go see Hobbiton, Rivendell, Mount Doom.
Oh.
Like, all right, I went nerdy on you.
No, this sounds like you could have a Hobbit travel agency even. You could take them all around and say, guys, we got to go see the sights.
There you go.
And a fire-breathing dragon named Smog, of all things.
I like that, though.
Yeah.
I love that answer. I think that's great. I would love... One of my favorite movies of all time, and the trilogy is Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah.
And I think maybe going to Hilldale.
Oh, there you
back
go.
in the 50s. and go check that out. In fact, I think it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Ralph? Do you have one?
Godfather.
Really?
Oh, that's actually a real world now. So, I mean,
Yeah. They're living it now.
yeah.
See, that wasn't so bad.
I like that one.
You like that one?
was
It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot worse. Well, I shouldn't say a lot worse. A lot more challenging. How's that? We're not,
That
we're
was
not
my
trying to
worry.
make them worse. Yeah. But you could put because I noticed you have on here that you study Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu,
I can't
yes,
talk
sir.
today. Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
I do over in Safford under my professor Granger Moffitt over there. It's where I've been training since 2019, and we're working to start up a little something here in Wilcox pretty soon.
Very nice.
So, yep.
There's a need for it here.
Oh yeah, I think well, it goes back to the coaching and the passing it on. I think there's a lot of kids that will enjoy it here.
I think so too. And when you're living in the land of the hobbits, that'll come in handy.
Hey, you
Yeah,
never know.
that's
You
right.
might have to wrangle up a goblin or something.
Yeah,
here
I'm
to
sorry.
Get out of trouble.
Get those orcs.
Get those
right.
orcs. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we head out, I want to thank our guest, Tim Bowlby, our network manager of Valley Telecom. Thanks, Tim, for being on today.
Thank you, guys. I
as a
appreciate
guest.
it.
It's been great. And guys, remind you, if you have any questions, ideas, suggestions, email us at podcast@teamvtg.net. Go download, share, review, like our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Until the next time, for Ralph Score, this is Bob Dahlstrom saying thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.